My name is AnnMarie Welton, and I teach band primarily to middle school students, but I also teach high school. And I'd like to share with you a technique that I have been using for years that was discussed in the book Opening Minds that we read as a group. There are a couple of really awkward times a year for band kids, especially for beginning band kids. The beginning of the year is challenging. Most of them don't have an instrument right away. It usually takes a week, sometimes two, hopefully not longer than that, for the kids to actually get an instrument in their hands and for us to actually get rolling. So what I do with that period of time is talk about the notes, the rhythms, the markings on the page, how instruments interact with each other, different uses for instruments, different ways that bands can be configured, all of those good things. The best way I have found is to have the kids teach each other. So I have this big bowl of concepts, and the kids divide themselves into groups of their choice. It's always much easier since it's beginning of the year. They can have a known entity, and they choose a topic. Then I get out the poster board and the markers, and they can create, decorate, whatever they want to do as far as a visual aid and a graphic organizer to use in their presentation, with a presentation of length of 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be a terribly long thing, but long enough for them to get the concept across as if they were teaching it to someone who never had heard about that before. So we learn about the concept first, and then we divide into groups and we teach it to each other. It's a great way for the kids to have some control, for them to be creative, for me to assess their understanding of learning of the basic information that's given during those 2 weeks when they don't have an instrument at the very beginning of the year, and also gives them a chance to get to know each other in a more informal setting. They get to be a little bit chatty and that sort of stuff before we actually get instruments in our hands. So that's a great tool that I have used, and when I'm going around and I'm monitoring the students and monitoring the groups and their progress and making sure they're following the rubric, I can use phrases like, "Say more about that," or "What are you thinking? What are you imagining? What do you think that someone who's never heard of this wonders about when they see this symbol on a page? What do you think that they might take from that, might think that it means?" But it's my job to guide them and to stay out of their way and to try and keep my mouth shut as much as possible, unless they're going errantly astray. Of course, I would, guide them back to center. But it's a good project for middle school students especially, and helps keep us on track, on task, on curriculum as they await their instruments to make their first lovely sounds of 6th grade band. Hope this was helpful.